Governor Newsome's new podcast is already a disaster. He started a new podcast where he wanted to have deep conversations with his colleagues, his friends, and people that disagreed with the Republicans. And it actually turned out to be a bad idea. Fortunately, the very first person from the opposition he chose to interview was Charlie Kirk. Now, I don't know why he chose such a debate bro, someone who is intellect, that can articulate, and is going to ask the hard questions. I'm actually surprised he went with Charlie Kirk. Now, I do like Charlie Kirk, and this podcast was just music to my ears. It was a mistake on Governor Newsome's part, and I'll tell you exactly why. I live in California. I've been here all my life. California means a whole lot to me. I've always been here. Have a lot of friends call me crazy. Everybody's telling me to move to Texas. Everybody's saying to move to Florida, somewhere else, go to a red state. But there's just something, a part of me that's always loyal to California. I've been here my whole life. It's hard to explain. If you're from California, you know what I mean. And people call me crazy and what am I doing in the state? But I guess I'm just clinging on, and I kind of hope for the better. I'm hoping it gets better. It's crazy prices. Homelessness is crazy. Some areas it's just way too unsafe. It's just, we have a lot of problems in California. And one thing that Governor Newsom always preaches when it comes to criticisms about California, the thing that bothers me about Governor Newsom is he always preaches that he's doing a good job, everything's good, sunshine and rainbows. I never understood this. A state that is successful and is striving economically, all around, safety, all that stuff, that does not equal a lot of people that are moving away from the state. It makes no sense. That's not a successful state. If people are driving away, people I grew up with, everybody's going away from California that I know. I'm tired of all the Democrats and all the Newsom followers acting like everything's all dandy. They can never explain to me why everyone's leaving. That's not a successful state. It's too expensive. The rent's through the roof. There's no control. And Governor Newsom always goes on public appearances. He even that public debate on the news against DeSantis. Like, he'll say a whole bunch of stuff that California is doing so good, that crime is down, all this stuff. Bro, I'm telling you right here, as a California native, I've lived close to LA. Dude, I've been here my whole life. I'm telling you, that is not the reality. We pay taxes through the roof. It is so expensive, and there's so many props that have been positioned that say they're gonna fix the roads, they're gonna do all these things, but they're not handling the budget correctly. The roads are still messed up. I say all of this to emphasize that I am very disappointed about our governor. I'm so glad that Charlie Kirk was actually able to have him inside and ask him these tough questions. I feel like he was speaking through a lot of us frustrated Californians. These are questions that I did want Governor Newsom to answer direct. Politics. The Democratic Party was actually criticizing this podcast appearance of Charlie Kirk, specifically on the topic of trans men playing in women's sports. I think that was one of the highlights of the interview. And as you can see here, California Governor Newsom, one of the most prominent Democratic Party voices, said Thursday on this new podcast that it's deeply unfair to allow transgender women to participate in women's sport, marking it a turn for a politician who first made national headlines when he issued marriage license for same-sex couples as San Francisco mayor in 2004. Newsom is already facing blowback from his own party after comments made in his debut episode of his podcast. This is Gov Newsome. He could have been more creative than that. The podcast is being touted by Newsom as a new way to change the conversation by talking directly to people on the opposite side of politics. In his first episode released Thursday, Newsom sits down with the conservative media figure Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA, waded into the issue of transgender athletes after Kirk mentions the recent news of a high school trans athlete in California who won a girls' triple jump event. I did triple jump in high school. It takes some leg muscle, a lot of plyometrics. In California, I don't know what's this obsession with having trans men play in women's sport. I don't agree with it at all. I think you guys have to meet in the middle on that sense, There's no way a man should be playing in a women's sports, bro. If you're going to be for women, I think you got to align with us on that topic, okay? Okay, politics aside, I'm not one of these crazy radical Republican people, okay? I can admit that there's radical people on the left and the right, but I'm saying there's a lot of Democrats that do disagree, that do agree with us on this topic. Come on, man, that's just common sense. I say the liberals, the Democrat Party will always eat itself, because if one of you guys disagree, You guys cast them out. It's Satan. You guys are evil. You guys like Hitler. It's all this stuff. I mean, there's no meeting in the middle with these people. But I think we all got to get on board with, we can't let trans men play in women's sports, bro. If you really care about women, that's the best way you can appreciate women. Let the women strive in what they do in sports, whatever the case may be. But putting men in there to slap to the face to lots of women, a lot of athletes that work hard. When you come down to it, and I think, dude, one-on-one of any liberal, I'm telling you, bro, the common sense gotta come out, bro. You can't be ignorant and just be hateful, full of bitterness, and this is the way it goes, all that stuff, LGBT, all that stuff. Bro, I'm so glad Charlie Kirk, asked the tough questions. If you've been to Southern California, you've been to LA, you've been to San Francisco, it's filthy. Hollywood is not what it was in in movies where they say, it's glamorous, all this stuff. Dude, I've been to LA ton of times in my life. It's never been a clean, safe place. I wouldn't go there with my family just walking around. It's kind of nasty, smelly. Someone's going to rob you. Someone's going to scam you. All the traffic's crazy. People are driving fast. They're going to hit you. No one's patient. Everybody's rude. Everybody wants to be a star. And yeah, LA is a wild place, bro. San Francisco is a wild place. It's dirty. It's full of homelessness. And I was wondering what everybody else was wondering, but we never got no answers until now about the fact that they cleaned up the streets of San Francisco just for one day, for President Z. For that one, it took 24 hours, bro, to make the streets look nice, like a modern city and all that stuff. And this whole problem, and before and after that, it looks like an apocalypse, man. Their biggest pushback to that is cost money. They don't have no solutions. I just wanted an answer for that. And as you can tell from the podcast, Governor Newsom beat around the bush. It wasn't a direct answer. He just said that Republicans were weaponizing that. That's not an answer to the question, bro. I just want to, I'm willing to meet in the middle. I'm willing to be understanding. I just want to hear him out. Why did you guys clean the city so well just for President Z, and it went back to normal on the following Tuesday? Why can't we solve homelessness? Why can't we clean up our city? And I know it's much deeper than just money and stuff like that. I think it's incompetence. I think it's laziness. I think it's a mismanagement of the budget. When you're talking to Charlie Kirk, you do have to bring your facts. You gotta know what you're talking about. You gotta sound intellect. You gotta know how to articulate yourself. And I just think, I think Gavin Newsom made a wrong decision to have him on his first podcast. And, I just think it highlighted a whole bunch of stuff. So Governor Newsom, I know he's going to try to run for president in the future. And that's no secret, man. He got the slick back hair. I really dislike our governor, man. I think he's shady, slimy, a sick sales talker. I remember in COVID when he shut down the whole state. And we had like some of the strictest lockdown policies, and all while he kept his winery open. It's stuff like that where it's like, I don't understand how people could be like, we have a great governor, all that stuff. The problem is California has some major problems. I think it's ludicrous for them to at least not trying to be open for the conversations. I do tip my hat off that he did have a conversation with Charlie Kirk. He did struggle with these hard questions, but me as a Californian, I do want transparency, and I look forward to just seeing, where he goes forward with this. Will the Democrats just cast him out and be like, this guy is not going to be a president's candidate? But that is pretty ludicrous how he got backlash from his own party. So yeah, that's my reaction to Charlie Kirk and Governor Newsom's first episode for the podcast. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm crazy. Educate me on something. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts. I thought it was pretty wild. Thank you. Peace.